to the Biblical Preaching Podcast, and we're thinking about weddings. The reason I'm thinking about weddings is because today I'm preaching at a wedding, and it's my third wedding in 5 weeks. And so I'm no expert when it comes to preaching at weddings, but I'm doing a few at the moment, and so I thought I would share some thoughts with you. When it comes to preaching at a wedding, what do you need to keep in mind? I want to share 5 C's, just for the sake of memory, 5 C's that we need to be aware of when we're preparing a sermon to preach at a wedding. Now, I'm not thinking about the officiating of a wedding. That's a complicated business, and it's different in different denominations and in different countries, different legal requirements, and there's a whole complexity to that. So I'll leave that for another day. But when it comes to the actual sermon itself, the bit where the Bible is open and the word is held forth for the congregation that's gathered, what do you need to think about when it's a sermon at a wedding? Well, the first C to keep in mind is the couple. This is their day. And so you want to make sure that in some way, in whatever way possible, you personalize the message for them. I would ask a couple if there's a particular passage that they would like me to preach on. And generally speaking, I'll go with what I'm asked for. It doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to pull in information from elsewhere if I feel there's a need for it. But I want it to be what they want it to be. This is their special occasion. I also think about those who are visiting, those guests who normally would never come into a church setting. They may be expecting the person at the front, the person who's officiating and the person who's preaching to just be doing a service, just doing what they do, saying what they say. And they could be pleasantly surprised to discover that the preacher knows the couple, that the preacher cares about the couple, and the preacher is able to communicate in a way that is personalized to the couple. And so in whatever way is appropriate, in whatever way you can, personalize it for the couple themselves. The second C you want to think about is the crowd. A crowd is always going to be quite a mixture when it comes to weddings, because there will be some people there who would literally never come for any other reason to the church if it weren't for the wedding itself. And so that means that you have an opportunity to present a counter perspective when the world and the culture has its view of marriage that is pretty negative. People like weddings, not so big fans of marriage, but we can present marriage, God's design, the beauty of it, give them a taste of how good our God is in giving this wonderful gift to us. And so take the opportunity in some way to explain marriage from God's perspective. The crowd need that. Thirdly, think about Christ. Yes, the couple are in the spotlight. It's their day. They are the focus. But actually, Christ is the one that we want to exalt above all. Christ is the one we want people to meet more than anyone. And so take the opportunity to share the gospel. In some way, communicate about who Christ is and what Christ has done. And it's not really that difficult to do that at a wedding, of course, but it's important that we do. Why would we ever want to miss that opportunity? Doesn't mean you're going to make it awkward and give an altar call and or anything like that. No, the focus is the couple and the wedding itself. But take the opportunity to present the gospel in the midst of the message. And so you're thinking about the couple, you're thinking about the crowd, you're thinking about Christ. And number 4, think about the color of the message or the character of it. By that, I mean the tone with which you're speaking. There's a bizarre combination if you think about it. On the one hand, there's a solemnity to a wedding. It's a very solemn occasion. Vows are being made before God. At the same time, it's an incredibly joyful occasion. And so that combination of solemn and joy, they need to work together in the tone. You don't want to be so heavy and overbearing that it becomes a discouragement to everybody. But equally, you don't want to be so happy and giddy that it becomes flippant. No, the message is an opportunity to really get that tone, that color or character of the message just right. A good, appropriate combination of solemn but joyful. And then number 5, after thinking about the couple and the crowd, thinking about Christ, of course, and the color or character of the message that you're preaching, The fifth thing that you want to keep in mind is the clock. Very simply put, nobody is there for a 45-minute message, not even a 30-minute message. Literally, nobody wants that. And so whatever you're trying to say, you need to say it succinctly. You need to keep it tight and get that message landed. And so think about those 5 C's. Those are the 5 that I'm thinking about as I'm preparing to preach. Maybe you think about something else. Feel free to comment. We want this to be a conversation, of course. But the 5 C's of preaching at a wedding: the couple, you want to personalize it; the crowd, you want to present marriage to them because they may not get it from anywhere else in a helpful way. Present Christ, make sure the gospel is clear. Watch the color or the character of the whole message and the way that it's communicated. And then be aware of the clock. You want to keep it tight. There's 5 C's to keep in mind. I hope that that is helpful to you. Just as we finish, let's let our minds drift forward. One of the weddings that I spoke at in the past few weeks was my daughter's wedding, and it was a real privilege at that wedding to think about the fact that this wedding is just pointing us toward that wedding. This wedding today is just a wonderful occasion, but it's just in an anticipation of the day when the bride of Christ will be gathered together with him. And of course, that really is the ultimate wedding. That is where the whole story is going. So whenever you get an opportunity to preach at a wedding, even if it's not the focus of your message, maybe let it be the focus of your heart. That this is yet another wonderful occasion, yet another human wedding, part of God's design, but part of God's plan that is moving towards that great day. In Revelation 19, it says, "Let us rejoice and exult and give him the glory, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready." It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? That even this 15 minutes or 12 minutes that I'm sharing at this wedding is part of preparing the bride for that day. And we're all moving towards that day. There is a great wedding ahead of us. Now, I'm not expecting any of us to be invited to preach at that one, but what a privilege to be invited to be present at that one as part of the bride of Christ. Weddings are a glorious occasion, aren't they? They give you such an opportunity with the people present. It's such a special moment in their life, but it's pointing us forward to that special moment in history as well. So there you have it, preaching at weddings. If you get the opportunity, may God bless your sermon. May he use it, and may it make a real difference and be a real blessing to everybody who's there. Thanks so much for listening to the Biblical Preaching Podcast. We're so glad to have you with us. As always, please do comment and interact with us. It really is an encouragement for us to hear that this podcast is somehow being helpful. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate every positive review, like, share, and comment. And thank you for praying for us. We hope you will join us again next time on the Biblical Preaching Podcast.